first step, what you want to do is you want to take some cardboard. You can buy a pack of it from your local Walmart in a pack for about $2 or $3. And what you want to do is you want to draw your template as desired form, and you want to apply it to some EVA foam and trace it real well with a bright color marker depending on the color of the EVA foam. You want to trace it real good and make sure it fits. Make sure it fits, and get you a box cutter or knife, razor sharp knife, whichever one you have on hand. Cut it up real good. My EVA foam was kind of rough, so that's good because it makes it more, it means it's more durable. So that's good for that, and it'll last longer. They use this material in the weight room. They drop weights on it all the time, so it's pretty tough. So make sure you get you some EVA foam. It's like $20 at Walmart in a pack. You get a good amount of it for, you know, a great price. So it's very, very durable. So be sure to get that. And the next step is you want to take it and put it around your arm like this. So yeah, just like that. So tape it up and leave it in that form, and take a heat gun, which you can buy from Walmart for about $20, and heat it up real good so it can keep curvature and keep form. You don't want to overdo it because you don't want to burn the foam. So make sure you do it just enough so it can keep curvature and let it freeze up, and that way it won't pop on you whenever you want to apply it to your wrist for your cosplay. So make sure you take those simple instructions into consideration, and everything will turn out great with it. It'll look really professional, and it'll look like something that you bought out of a store. So make sure you do a great job and keep all these precautions in consideration. The next step is the wrist protection part for the gauntlet. I did the same thing. I took some cardboard and drew it out, measured it as well, made sure it fit my arm, and I'm going to put it at the edge of my gauntlet for wrist protection, just in case I want to block or punch or do whatever. It'll protect my hand, and I made that from 5 to 6 millimeter foam you can find in the craft store. And next part right here is the Velcro. You can get that from Walmart as well, and your local art store, Michael's or Hobby Lobby. I took a piece back there of maybe 2 millimeter foam, the flat part to cover over the Velcro, and that'll be the part that covers over the straps. But you will see that at the end of the video with the final, you know, part of the gauntlet. But it came out pretty good. But make sure you get you some nice strong Velcro to keep it together, and make sure you mark your areas so you know where your Velcro fits at, because you don't want it to be out of place whenever you try to, you know, tape it up. Make sure you use a hot glue gun to make it stay put, or super glue, or however way you want to use it. But I choose to use the hot glue gun. You can get that from Walmart as well, or any craft store. Hobby Lobby, Michael's is my store, so that's where I get most of my stuff from. But yeah, those straps, they're made of the 2 millimeter foam as well, and they're pretty strong. So make sure you measure it out to the desired length so it can reach all the way across, and connect the Velcro to it. Mark your lines up, even though the lines are going to get painted over anyway, but you want to know where you're going with it. So I put it at the top of the straps for the back flap covering, which you will see later on in the video. But of course I'm putting my Velcro on both of them, because they're both going to attach together so they can stay put. Because I'm not only going to be just making these, but you're gonna see me do a lot of things in these gauntlets. So I have to make sure it's extra tough and extra stable, because I don't want nothing to fall apart. So it's going to be very, very durable and very, very strong. But yeah, your hot glue gun, it works wonders. So make sure you pick up one of those. You can get them from maybe 10 to 20 bucks, but they work pretty good. I love them. So make sure you go and get some of those, because they really do come in handy. Don't turn your heat up too high, because you know it slows up the drying process. So make sure you keep it on low temperature. This part right here is another layer of my gauntlet, the front piece. And those are my fins that I'm going to put on there. I cut that out of 2 millimeter. No, it wasn't 2 millimeter. It was 5 or 6 millimeter foam. I cut the shapes out. And of course I made my templates first out of cardboard and cut them out. And I put it to the desired fitting for the gauntlet to make sure they fit. And I did the first size bigger than the second and the third size, and I spray painted it with spray paint or spray paint primer. You don't have to do it, you know, the exact color that I did, but you know, I did it in spray paint primer just to make sure I get the paint on there pretty well. Another thing that you could use is Mod Podge. You can get that from Michael's as well, or Walmart. Get Mod Podge and put it over that, and it'll make sure that the paint stays on there. And this part right here, I'm using a Dream Mill. You can get that from Walmart as well. I paid like 36 bucks for this. They got different sizes on them. They got electrical and ones that work by battery. But I grinded the edges of the fins so it can look more blade-like, more realistic. And that's what I did to the edges. I put spray paint on them, but I had changed my mind. I wanted to make it look a little bit more vicious. So I went on ahead and just grinded it off and made it to where it can look a little bit more edgy. I did that for all three. And then once I done that, I took that and I spray painted it as well. But you want to make sure the sides are really smooth. But like I said, make sure you use Mod Podge. And there it is. I taped it off to make sure I don't get, you know, paint in the wrong areas. You know, I wanted to put paint in the areas where I wanted it to go at. And so I put metallic silver paint on the blade parts so it can look a little bit more realistic. And of course, I put other colors as well on it. And it was more of a, I guess, a darker gray color. But make sure you tape it off and you layer it the way you want to, so you won't get your colors and stuff everywhere. Never mind my cutting mat back there. I have more than one, so I was willing to mess that one up just in case people are looking at that. But this is another layer right here. Of course, there's my template, tracing over it. Make sure everything is well and it shows up. Take my cutting knife and cut it off. Take it and cut it. Make sure it comes out nice. And I take that and I also layer it to the front part of my gauntlet, because this is where my other layers are going to go as well. That's going to be the main piece of my gauntlet, and you'll see where I go with it. Take your hot glue gun and also glue it on there. Make sure it stay put and it was nice and put. Make sure the temperature is very, very low. And there's my other layers right there. See, we're getting somewhere already. Here I'm going to put different color spray paint on it to give it a much weathered look. And it came out pretty well. So just watch me play with the spray paint as I get the desired look that I'm looking for. Because at first it came out too light, but then I wanted to play with it some more and put some more black color on there. Okay, I taped it off and I went back over it with my silver, my metallic silver for the blades to give it a more deadly look. It came out really well. I pay attention to detail. People say I'm a perfectionist, but you know, hey, this is my first time doing a cosplay gauntlet, and Batman is one of my most favorite characters. So I'm gonna try to turn it out on this one. See, there we go. Came out pretty good. Looks almost like a real blade. Came out really nice. And there you go. There are my fins, my blade fins for my gauntlet. It's coming together quite nice, but I still have ways to go. And there are the other layers that I put on and marked off. There's the piece right there from the 2mm foam that I told you about. Just cut a square piece out to make sure the flap goes on correctly. And here's my hot glue gun again as I put my fins on to make sure that it stays on. And those are the lines that I got on it to make sure I'm going in the right direction with it, so I can put it in place as well to make sure it goes on the way that I wanted it to. It was kind of a pain to put on, but it came out pretty nice. So I'm glad it came out the way it did. And that way it'll be well in place for whenever I get ready to paint it. There it is around the back. Make sure you glue it down real good inside and out so it won't pop off, and make sure it's on there pretty steady and sturdy. The hot glue gun works pretty well. Had to make sure I get all my tight areas right there. Hot glue gun webs a lot, but you can just pull it off when it dry up. It feels like rubber. Yeah, I'm getting all in the back. Make sure it comes out really well. It was a pain putting it on because it was sticking to my hand and everything. But like I say, it was all worth it. I love it. There it is. There are my straps. There you go, the flap. Make sure everything works perfectly. Make sure everything is strapped on and secure. That way it won't fly off whenever I'm wearing it or I'm throwing a punch, because I am a fighter. So, hey, there's a lot of things I'm going to be doing with this, so I got to make sure it's very well steady. There you go. Now I'm putting on my other layer, the front part of my gauntlet. That's going to be a thick part, also made of 6 to 10, well, I'm sorry, not 6 to 10, but 5 to 6 millimeter foam. Since it's so thick, have to make sure the hot glue gun takes to that as well. It doesn't take long for the hot glue to dry. It works really well. I love it. I'm gonna be buying that a lot. I bought a whole bunch of tools for that. You can get those at Walmart as well. I think it's in the sewing section. So whenever you want one, just go to your local Walmart, Super Walmart store, and it should be in the sewing or the arts and crafts section. Okay, now the front part is glued. I'm going to let it sit. Had to take some more tight areas just to make sure it stays sturdy. And of course, you know, hot glue gun gets all over your hands, but it's pretty good. So there's my other piece to make sure that my knuckle piece, my wrist protector on my knuckle piece that goes over the top of my hand, that's the piece to keep it sturdy. I just cut that little piece out to give it a bit more depth and to hold it. And there you see right there, had to take it and flip it a little bit to make sure it stays on and make sure the glue and stuff dry the way it's supposed to. But there are my pieces right there in the back that I'll be using for other things as well to keep it sturdy and to give it a little bit more depth. Now I'm lining it off so I can know exactly where to put my glue at. And this right here is contact cement. It works really well. You want to get that as well. You can get that from Walmart, or you can get it from Lowe's or Home Depot, but this stuff works really well. It works really well, so make sure you get some of that too, and it'll help your stuff stay on. And make sure the glue dries up first before you put it on, because it works better when the glue dries up. There it is. There's my gauntlet. It's coming together perfectly, but there's still ways to go. Whole lot of ways to go. These things take a great while to make, depending on how detailed it is. You want to make sure you get all the good tight spots glued down so nothing won't fly off or fall apart. That's the best part about it. The creativity part. It makes sure it keeps your brain working. Next right here, this is the outer layer part that's going to go to my gauntlet front piece. Another layer being added on. I did it the same way. You take cardboard and you trace over it. There's the template right there. Make the template out of cardboard, transfer it to some, I did that for 2 millimeter foam because it's a thin piece. Cut it out. My contact cement, wait for it to dry because it works better. Like I said before, it works better when it's dry. And then once you're done, after it dries up, make sure you put it on there and make sure everything is in place, because make sure everything is even, because you don't want it to be crooked. Okay, now it's all sturdy, ready to go. Next part is take my contact cement, put it on the wrist layer for the top part of my wrist protection pad. And again, you have to wait for the contact cement to dry because it works better that way. If you put it on there wet, it's just gonna slide right off and it's not gonna really stick the way it's supposed to. So you can blow on it to speed the process up. Like I said before, you don't have to, but you know, I've done it and it worked. But what I want to do is get the areas where I want it to stick at, because once it's there, it's there. So you got to be real careful. You don't want to mess up. These parts right here is what I cut from 2mm foam, and that square thick piece is what I cut. It's an adapter. You're gonna see what I'm gonna use that for, but it's an adapter protector, I'm sorry. And I'm gonna paste that on the front part of my gauntlet. And these pieces right here, these straps right here that I'm strapping on, these are just for detail. I did that from 2mm foam. It worked really nice. It complemented the gauntlet very, very well. And those lines, well, those are gonna get painted over, so they're not gonna show up. But I did that with a silver Sharpie. You can get those from Walmart too. Whichever type marker you want to use, you can. It can even be a silver pen or anything that just shows up on that black. So anything will work with this. I love foam. It's so easy to work with. And if you look at the front part of the gauntlet, when I flip it back over, that's where my LED lights are gonna go. I carved that out of 5-6mm craft foam, just 2 strips, and placed it there. And these parts right here are just 2mm foam as well, just like the other side, just to give it some more depth. And that came out pretty nice and complemented as well. So watch me paste that on, and I'll show you where I'm going with it in the next step. There we go. There we go. And it looks good to me. It's coming along just fine. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut some lines on the side where I marked it off at, and I'm doing that for detail. You see that Mod Podge at the end right there on the side? That's what I need. That's what you're gonna need to paint all over the gauntlet for paint detail. And right here, I'm using my contact cement on the slits right here. I took a piece of clear lens. You could use an old drink bottle, or you could use any type of clear lens where you can get from anywhere. You can just pick it up off the ground. It's just scraps. That's all it is. So what I'm gonna do, I took it and I glued it right there at the front part, because that's where my LED light is gonna go. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take 2 pieces of 2mm foam, and I'm gonna paste it right there at the corner so you won't see the glue. It'll make it look tacky. So I'm gonna do that for both sides of it and leave a slit open so you can see through the clear plastic. I thought this was a neat design, very creative. I found that lens, I'm a welder, so I got a lens that I had from work, and I just bought it with me and just cut it up, did some creative stuff with it. There's my hot glue gun. I hot glue gunned the size of it just to make sure it stayed put, because I'm going to need it there. There's the webbing. Make sure you get all sides of it. And it looks good. It's coming together just fine. I'm gonna leave that sitting there for a second. I'm gonna take my heating gun, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna heat the lines so I can open the lines up and give it great detail. You can see right there in the middle that the lines are starting to show up. And I'm gonna re-glue some parts just to make sure it stay put and nothing won't pop off. You can see the hot glue gun all over it. But once you paint it, that hot glue is not gonna show up. Here's the part where I do the weathering, my favorite part. You take a towel and you just spray some metallic silver spray paint on it and just go around the edges. Just brush the edges with the dry towel for your weathering. It gives it a more rugged and edgy weathered look, like Batman's just been putting a hurt on any and everybody. And I took the Mod Podge and rubbed it all over with a paintbrush, all over the gauntlet. There it is. And I used black acrylics paint after the Mod Podge dried up. Mod Podge will help the paint take to the gauntlet a lot better. It'll take to the foam a lot better because the paint, it'll soak through the foam and it won't look good. And there it is. I have Velcro up under the slit with the lens on it. And there's my little box right there. I made that out of 2mm foam and put some Velcro on it because that's where my battery is gonna be. This is the LED light. You can get it from AutoZone. Those cost like 17 bucks. Got the wiring, taped it off. There's my battery. I'm gonna slide it in right there. There you go. Slide it in. I'm gonna plug it up, and then I'm gonna close it in. I took that and put that up under my wrist protector, and it sits well up under there. That part was easy to make. And there's my adapter protector for the LED light. Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use my straps, overlap it, put it on, and bam, there we go. Got a Batman gauntlet. It came out super dope. Awesome. I'm gonna tell you this right now. Somebody's son is about to get hurt. There you have it.